the United States stoking tensions, but now they're involved in the dispute between the Chinese and India. And this is what was said openly a few days ago. So I'm going to read this. This is from CNBC News, and it says China slams the U.S. for interfering in the I can't pronounce it. Pradesh border dispute.
Yeah.
Yes, due to a border dispute with India, and it says China slammed the United States for interfering. Now it says it is the latest in an escalating dispute between neighboring India and China. On Wednesday, the United States rejected Beijing's unilateral attempts to advance its territorial claims, weighing in on a spat between New Delhi and Beijing after Prime Minister Narendra Modi inaugurated a tunnel in the Indian state of Arunachal Pradesh. Now, that is what the West doesn't tell the audience is that is a leftover grievance between the two nations from colonial times of Britain running India and trying to subjugate China and the rest of Asia to the imperial will of Britain. What do you say on this, and how can you inform people of what is actually going on? Because this could lead to war, because India wants to be accepted by the Western world as equals when they will never accept them, and they will try to use whatever advantage that the U.S. gives them against China, even though they claim to be part of the BRICS. What is your take on this?
Now, on the in the China-India side, now the China-Indian border dispute have dated from as you mentioned, dated from the British India days. It's a colonial legacy. But what happened is India is a democracy, so that means it's an election issue. The territorial dispute in India is an election issue. Anytime India has an election, suddenly the border tension flares up. and then everybody gets all like upset or emotional about this border dispute with China. But this again, India, unlike Taiwan and Philippines, who are like willing proxies, vassal to the United States, India is playing its own game. India's making its bid for great power status. And so if you figure it could benefit from the geopolitical competition of U.S. and China, on one hand, India is in the BRICS, and it knows that China is trying to woo India to sign on the Belt and Road project. On the other hand, India get access to the latest U.S. military technology and nuclear know-how. The U.S. offered a nuclear cooperation in setting up a nuclear reactors in India. And so India is trying to maximize its advantage,
yes.
Right? And so sometimes a little border tension, works in their favor. They're using this opportunity to get more funding from the United States, more international support from the United States. But at the same time, also for domestic reasons, both the ruling party in India and the opposition party are trying to make it an election issue. The opposition is saying, "Oh, the ruling party, why you're not doing enough to resist the Chinese incursion?" And the ruling party, the Modi's party, is like, "Oh, look, we're being tough on China. We go there, show them who's the boss." So this is very convenient, and the U.S. and also India's own military-industrial complex has a vested interest to keep the border tension going, because that means more funding, more bigger military budgets for the Indian army. So the border issue is basically a festering wound in the India-China relations, but there's no political will on the side of the Indian political class to resolve the issue, because it's a very convenient issue to play with, to fine-tune it, to either tune it up or tune it down, depending on what befits their needs at the moment. But the border issue is not going to lead to a full-fledged war, because both sides, India and China, recognize they don't want a war between nuclear powers. So they actually have a decade-old agreement that they will not use firearms in the confrontation. That's why a lot of the confrontation between China and India on the border, you see guys throwing rocks, they're using sticks. they're using literally sticks and stones, and because there's the long-standing agreement not to use firearms, so don't escalate into a bigger war. So the actual prospect for war between China and India is actually not that great, because both sides want to do. Indian side want to keep the tension simmering, just so the Indian army get more military budget, Indian politicians get more talk points, they get more goodie from the United States, but they actually don't want to commit themselves to a full scale war. So we're gonna see like this rim of tensions around China's periphery from Taiwan, Philippines, and India. But the prospect of actual war, I don't see it as great. But the tensions benefits U.S. It benefits India, so they're gonna keep stoking the tensions. This is my take.
Fun fact: first of all, everybody hit the like button. YouTube, please hit the like button. And you know that's the reason we see a lot of terrorist attacking. You mentioned something earlier about the terror attack that just took place in Pakistan. And remember, a year or so ago, in the same region, a terror attack took place, and some of the intelligence services were saying that was orchestrated by the U.S. and RAW to prevent China from what is trying to build to go along with the Belt and Road Initiative, so that because it wants to invest over $60 billion in Pakistan to make this thing viable and use the ports so that they wouldn't be so reliant on waterways. And now we have another terrorist attack that took the lives of a few Chinese and a few Pakistanis. Do you think that Indian RAW is playing playing this double game that may get it caught up and left behind? And hold up. And before you say it, Indian RAW, for those who are listening, Indian RAW is the intelligence service, similar to the CIA and the MI6.
So look, the attack happened near a hydroelectric plant, right? Why would anybody attack engineer trying to build a hydroelectric plant, right? China is investing a lot of money in Pakistan to make Pakistan, because the Pakistan has chronic problem, because it's basically an economic problem. They're diverting too much resources into beef up the Pakistani military, and the Pakistani economy is kind of getting neglected. And China is injecting a lifeline into Pakistan to build up its infrastructure, because China has an interest to have stability in its neighborhood, and Pakistan is a traditional ally. And as you mentioned, China is trying to build a corridor from Xinjiang region of China through Pakistan to the port of Gwadar, which is very close to the Arabian, it sits on the Arabian Gulf, but it's but it's very close to the Persian Gulf. It's sitting very close to the mouth of the Persian Gulf, near the Strait of Hormuz. So that way, in the future, possibly, if China builds a pipeline, the oil tankers can go straight from the Gulf countries, directly unload in Port of Gwadar, and the oil gets piped overland from Pakistan to China. And that avoids the whole travel through the Straits of Malacca, where U.S. Navy has been wet dreaming about blocking. And this is so why would somebody attack engineers build a hydroelectric plant? It obviously is people who don't want to see development in Pakistan. Now there's two primary suspects, right? Two U.S. suspects, either U.S. or India. And the people who are attacking Chinese engineers are either Baluchistan Liberation Army or ISIS-K, or the so-called Pakistani Taliban. Now the two sides, these terrorist groups have ties with both the U.S. and the Indian intelligence service, RAW. So I mean, it could be either. It could be either India or U.S., but India is known to be involved in supporting the Balochistan independence movement in Pakistan because India wants to partition Pakistan to weaken its rival. This is a kind of very dangerous, set up a dangerous escalation because India itself is a multi-ethnic state with many religions, many languages, and many features among different communities. And and China during Mao's time, China used to support Maoist guerrillas in India, used to support the Indian communists, and also the people in northeast India that were seeking independence from India. Now, when Deng Xiaoping came to power, Deng Xiaoping has cut off the support because Deng Xiaoping says China no longer export revolution. Now, this provide a certain degree of stability in the India-China relationship. Basically say I'm not going to support your terrorist group. You're not going to support mine. Let's have like civilized relationship as neighbors. But if India is involved in attacking Pakistan against Chinese interests, what's holding China back from supporting separatists in India?
Mm-hmm.
This could lead a serious escalation and destabilization in India itself. So I mean, I don't think if the RA is involved, I don't think the people in the Indian intelligence service are thinking this through in long term. They're maybe more focused on their immediate goal, which is to destabilize Pakistan. But sometimes you got to take a step back and look at the big picture. It's like, okay, well, what's good for the goose is good for the gander. If you do this, what's stopping China to say, okay, you know what? All these people want to succeed from India. All these people are trying to seek independence from India. From Kashmir all the way to northeast India. We're going to start giving them funding now. And that's going to create a lot of problem for India. So I hope I mean, so far China has been acting responsibly in not pursuing that approach, but it's an option that could that could be pursued if this series of attack against Chinese interests continue in Pakistan. But I'm also not excluding U.S. involvement because U.S. also has an interest to seeing China not gaining too much influence in Pakistan because, as I said, the whole idea of the corridor through Pakistan is so China is not so reliant on the oil route through Strait of Malacca that U.S. Navy always wanted to block. So this could be a CIA thing. It could be an Indian thing. It could be a collaboration effort for all we know. But it's not good for the stability of the region because but despite this, like I said, in the end of the day, the terrorist attack is not going to change the geopolitical balance on the ground. Just like the terrorist attack in Moscow, it's not going to change the fact in the Ukrainian battlefield. The terrorist attack against Chinese-led project in Pakistan is not going to stop the Chinese investment. It's not going to stop the Chinese engineers from coming. It's not going to stop China trying to continue to build up Pakistan. So what they will do is it will cause a lot of pain for the victims and their families. But in the end of the day, they're not going to change the course of history.
Mm-hmm. Now, I know time is of the essence, but I want to ask a few more questions. And next time we'll talk on the Palestinian thing, but I want to stay in Asia for a second. But before we do that, we have 138 people, according to YouTube and my dashboard, 138 people watching. Please smash the like button, please. It doesn't cost you a thing, or the dislike button. Either one. Just do something.
But you can hate watch us and then leave your comments, your criticism in the comments. That helps the YouTube algorithm. Thank you.